force is a crucial part of any army. Air superiority provides cover and safety for the troops on the ground. More importantly, fighter jets are a must for every country that wants to keep their airspace sovereign and secure their positions as a prominent military force in the world. In this video of the most powerful air force, we have included all combat and non-combat military aircraft such as fighter jets, transport aircraft, bombers, helicopters, and all other military aircraft. It took us almost 20 hours to make this video for you. Please like and subscribe, it will take you only 2 seconds. From the beginning of World War I until World War II, the British Air Force topped the list of the most powerful air force with the maximum number of military aircraft. The British Air Force was formed towards the end of the First World War on the 1st of April 1918, becoming the first independent air force in the world, by regrouping the Royal Flying Corps and the Royal Naval Air Service. Following the Allied victory over the Central Powers in 1918, the British Air Force emerged as the largest air force in the world at the time. Since its formation, the British Air Force has taken a significant role in British military history. In particular, it played a large part in the Second World War, where it fought its most famous campaign, the Battle of Britain. At the end of 1940, Soviet Union Air Force surpassed the British Air Force with the maximum number of military aircraft. At the outbreak of World War II, the Soviet military was not yet at a level of readiness suitable for winning a war. Joseph Stalin had said in 1931, Soviet industry was 50 to 100 years behind the Western powers. By the end of the war, Soviet annual aircraft production had risen sharply, reaching about 40,000 in 1944. One of the main reasons for the large aircraft losses of Soviet Air Force in the initial period of war with Germany was not the lack of modern tactics, but the lack of experienced pilots and ground support crews, the destruction of many aircraft on the runways due to command failure to disperse them, and the rapid advance of air troops, forcing the Soviet pilots on the defensive during Operation Barbarossa, while being confronted with more modern German designs. In the first few days of the invasion of the Soviet Union, the Luftwaffe destroyed some 2,000 Soviet aircraft, at a loss of only 35. In 1954, United States surpassed Soviet Union Air Force with respect to a maximum number of military aircraft, and become the most powerful air force in the world. The U.S. Air Force is the world's premier aerial power. With 39 distinct types of aircraft, and many more sub-varieties of each airframe, it is easy to understand why the U.S. Air Force has no peers. Each airframe is custom-made to carry out a selective mission effectively, and each pilot knows their aircraft perfectly. The fighter aircrafts of the U.S. Air Force are small, fast, and maneuverable military aircraft primarily used for air-to-air combat. Many of these fighters have secondary ground attack capabilities, and some are dual-rolled as fighter bombers. The term fighter is also sometimes used colloquially for dedicated ground attack aircraft, such as the F-117 Nighthawk. Other missions include interception of bombers and other fighters, reconnaissance, and patrol. The U.S. Air Force had 25 fighters in service as of September 2012. The attack aircrafts of the U.S. Air Force are designed to attack targets on the ground and are often deployed as close air support for and in proximity to U.S. ground forces. The proximity to friendly forces requires precision strikes from these aircraft that are not always possible with bomber aircraft. Their role is tactical rather than strategic, operating at the front of the battle rather than against targets deeper in the enemy's rear. Current U.S. Air Force attack aircraft are operated by Air Combat Command, Pacific Air Forces, and Air Force Special Operations Command. Before proceeding further, let's go back to the early days of military aircraft. Since World War I, achieving and maintaining air superiority has been considered essential for victory in conventional warfare. Fighters continued to be developed throughout World War I, to deny enemy aircraft and dirigibles the ability to gather information by reconnaissance over the battlefield. Early fighters were very small and lightly armed by later standards, and most were biplanes built with a wooden frame covered with fabric, and a maximum airspeed of about 100 miles per hour. As control of the airspace over armies became increasingly important, all of the major powers developed fighters to support their military operations. By World War II, Most fighters were all-metal monoplanes armed with batteries of machine guns or cannons, and some were capable of speeds approaching 400 miles per hour. Most fighters up to this point had one engine, but a number of twin-engine fighters were built. However, they were found to be outmatched against single-engine fighters and were relegated to other tasks, such as night fighters equipped with primitive radar sets. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 proved to be a boon to China and the People's Liberation Army Air Force. Apart from a formidable enemy being neutralized, many displaced scientists, engineers, and technicians from the Soviet Union found employment in the Chinese military industry. The Russian aircraft industry, struggling to survive, was more than willing to sell modern airplanes and technology to China. And the booming Chinese economy could afford to import the best that was on offer. A visionary long-term and time-bound approach to military modernization, supported by a strong and innovative military-industrial capability, has transformed the People's Liberation Army Air Force of China from an antiquated, derelict, poorly trained, and oversized force to a modern aerospace power with increasing proficiency to undertake its stated missions in the 21st century. The People's Liberation Army Air Force of China and its sister branch, the Royal Naval Air Force, operate a huge fleet of around 1,700 combat aircraft, defined here as fighters, bombers, and attack planes. This force is exceeded only by the 3,400 active combat aircraft of the US military. Moreover, China operates a lot of different aircraft types that are not well known in the West. However, most Chinese military aircraft are inspired by or copied from Russian or American designs, so it's not too hard to grasp their capabilities if you know their origins. Before concluding this video, let's talk about the few most advanced fighter jets in the world. Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II. United States Air Force introduced the newest fighter jet in 2015. The estimated cost of the F-35 program is mind-blowing. The US government spent a whopping $1.508 trillion on the fighter jet. It is also one of the best-selling modern fighter jets internationally. Over 13 countries are buying or planning to buy the F-35. Although the F-35 has its critics, it certainly cannot be denied that it is the most advanced fighter jet currently in the air. Sukhoi Su-57. Developed by the Sukhoi company, the Su-57 is going to become the most technologically advanced Russian fighter jet. It's the first fighter to tick every box in the list of fifth-generation fighter features. Compared to the F-35, the Su-57 only cost the Russians an estimated $10 billion to research, develop and prepare for production. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more Bar Char race videos.